What happens when a billionaire's 25-year-old son parks his Lamborghini blocking a disabled veteran's wheelchair ramp, refuses to move, and tells the veteran, "Move your wheelchair, I'm in a hurry"? This entitled young man is about to learn that some parking spaces can't be blocked, some veterans can't be dismissed, and some billionaires choose justice over protecting sons who treat disabled people like obstacles. Thanks for watching Judge of Justice. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful real-life courtroom moments. But what makes this case absolutely enraging isn't just the blocked wheelchair ramp or the dismissive cruelty. It's where the veteran was trying to go, what the billionaire's son was doing that was so important, and what his father did the moment his assistant showed him the security footage. A decision that would shock the business world and prove that real wealth is measured in character, not dollars. It's a Tuesday morning in Providence Municipal Court. Brandon Sterling, age 25, son of tech billionaire Marcus Sterling, faces charges of blocking handicap access, harassment of a disabled person, and reckless endangerment. The incident occurred 6 days ago outside the Providence VA hospital and was captured on multiple security cameras and witness phones. Robert Hayes, age 58, is an Iraq war veteran who lost both legs above the knee to an IED blast in Fallujah in 2004. He uses a wheelchair and drives a specially modified wheelchair-accessible van. Every Tuesday, Robert volunteers at the VA hospital, helping younger wounded veterans adapt to life with disabilities. He's known as someone who never complains, never asks for special treatment, just quietly serves others. On that Tuesday morning, Robert pulled into the VA hospital parking lot. There are designated wheelchair-accessible parking spaces with extra-wide spaces and wheelchair ramps. As Robert approached one of these spaces, he saw a bright yellow Lamborghini parked diagonally across the wheelchair ramp access, completely blocking it. The Lamborghini had no handicap placard and was parked illegally, making it impossible for any wheelchair user to access the sidewalk. Robert sat in his van for a moment, hoping whoever owned the car would return quickly. But after 5 minutes, no one came. He needed to get to his 9 a.m. volunteer session. Robert carefully maneuvered his van as close as possible and tried to deploy his wheelchair ramp, but the Lamborghini was blocking it completely. He couldn't get out. Security footage shows Robert calling the VA hospital's main desk to ask for help. Then he waited. After 10 more minutes, a young man in expensive designer clothes emerged from a nearby cafe carrying a coffee. This was Brandon Sterling, and he was heading toward the Lamborghini with no sense of urgency whatsoever. Robert rolled down his window. "Excuse me, sir, that's your car blocking the wheelchair ramp. I'm a disabled veteran and I can't get out of my van. Would you mind moving it?" Brandon looked at Robert, looked at the Lamborghini, and his response was captured clearly on 3 different cameras and 2 witness phones. "I'm only going to be a few more minutes. Just wait." Robert remained patient despite his frustration. "Sir, I've already been waiting 15 minutes. I have a volunteer session at 9. I'm paralyzed and I need that ramp to get my wheelchair out. Please move your car." Brandon took a sip of his...
And right here, pause for a second, because this isn't just bad parking. This is a violation of ADA federal accessibility law. Blocking a wheelchair ramp is legally treated the same as blocking a fire lane when it prevents someone from exiting safely. So when Brandon shrugs it off, he's not just being rude, he's stepping into criminal territory without even realizing this moment is the turning point. Notice Robert's tone: calm, patient, respectful.
Coffee, checked his phone, and said something that would change his life. "Look, I'm meeting someone important here in 5 minutes. You can wait or find another spot. Move your wheelchair van somewhere else." Robert was stunned. "Sir, there is no other accessible spot available, and you're parked illegally blocking the ramp. I literally cannot get out of my van." Brandon's response was even worse. "That's not my problem. I'm in a hurry. Figure it out." Then he turned and walked back toward the cafe, dismissing Robert completely. Robert sat there in shock. A veteran who lost both legs serving his country, blocked from accessing the VA hospital by someone who couldn't be bothered to move his illegally parked sports car. Other people in the parking lot had noticed. A woman named Jennifer Martinez, a VA nurse, approached Brandon as he walked away. "Excuse me, that veteran can't get out of his van because of where you parked. He's trying to volunteer here. You need to move your car now." Brandon barely looked at her. I said, "I'll move it in a few minutes. Tell him to relax." Jennifer was shocked by his casual cruelty. "He's been waiting 15 minutes already. He's a disabled veteran. This is a VA hospital. Show some respect." Brandon actually laughed. "Respect? I drive a $400,000 car. I don't take orders from nurses and wheelchair people. I'll move when I'm ready." By now, several other people had gathered, including other veterans. A retired Army veteran named James Wilson, who uses a prosthetic leg, confronted Brandon directly. "Son, that man served our country. He lost both his legs in Iraq. He's here to help other veterans. Move your damn car." Brandon's response revealed everything about his character. Do you know who I am? My father is Marcus Sterling. He's a billionaire. He could buy this entire hospital. I park where I want, when I want. You people need to learn your place. The crowd was getting angry. Multiple people were now recording on their phones. Jennifer pulled out her phone and called VA hospital security. When security officer David Chen arrived, Brandon still refused to move. Sir, you're blocking handicap access. You need to move your vehicle immediately or it will be towed and you'll be cited. Brandon pulled out his phone and made a call, putting it on speaker so everyone could hear his sense of importance. Dad, I'm at the VA and some security guard is threatening to tow the Lamborghini. Handle this. The voice on the phone was Marcus Sterling, the billionaire. Brandon, why are you at the VA? Brandon's tone was annoyed. I'm meeting Taylor here. Her dad works here or something, but now these people are harassing me about where I parked. Marcus Sterling's voice became serious. Brandon, where exactly did you park? Brandon waved his hand dismissively. I don't know, some ramp thing. There's a guy in a wheelchair complaining. Just call someone and make this go away. There was a long pause on the phone, then Marcus Sterling's voice, now cold. Brandon, are you blocking a wheelchair ramp at a VA hospital? Brandon rolled his eyes. It's not a big deal, Dad. Just use your influence. These people need to know who we are. The silence that followed lasted at least 10 seconds. Then Marcus Sterling said something that made Brandon's face change. Brandon, move your car right now, then wait there. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a conversation about this, but Brandon didn't move the car.
And then look at Brandon's reaction, dismissive, arrogant, and escalating. Judges notice this contrast. Jurors notice this. Viewers notice this. And trust me, when a defendant shows clear contempt for vulnerable people, judges remember. Wow. Right here is where everything flips. Brandon thinks his father's money is a get-out-of-consequences-free card, but he just made the biggest mistake. He put Dad on speaker.
Instead, he hung up and turned to Officer Chen. My father is handling this at a higher level. You're all going to regret harassing me. That's when things escalated. Officer Chen called Providence Police. When Officer Sarah Kim arrived, she assessed the situation. Lamborghini blocking handicap access. Disabled veteran unable to exit his van for over 30 minutes now. Crowd of angry witnesses. And an entitled young man refusing to move. Officer Kim approached Brandon. Sir, you're in violation of multiple traffic laws. Move your vehicle immediately or you'll be arrested. Brandon actually laughed. Arrested for parking? You have no idea who you're dealing with. My father is Marcus Sterling. Google him. He's worth $3 billion. You're going to lose your job over this. Officer Kim remained professional. Sir, I don't care who your father is. You're blocking a disabled veteran's access to a VA hospital. Move your car now. Brandon crossed his arms. Make me, that was the moment Brandon Sterling committed what would become a criminal act. Officer Kim radioed for a tow truck and began writing citations. Brandon, furious at being ignored, walked over to Robert's van and kicked the deployed wheelchair ramp, causing damage to the hydraulic mechanism. Security cameras captured it clearly. It was deliberate. Brandon kicked the ramp while saying, maybe now you'll learn not to complain. The crowd erupted. Veterans started yelling. Officer Kim immediately called for backup. Sir, you just committed assault and criminal mischief. You're under arrest. Brandon was stunned. What? I barely touched it. You can't arrest me. Do you know how much my lawyers cost? As Officer Kim began to handcuff him, Brandon resisted. Get your hands off me. My father will own this city when he's done suing you. It took 3 officers to restrain and arrest him. As he was led away, he was still yelling, my father is Marcus Sterling. You're all finished. The damage to Robert's wheelchair ramp cost $4,800 to repair and left him unable to use his van for a week. But what Brandon didn't know was that his father, Marcus Sterling, had immediately driven to the VA hospital after that phone call. Marcus arrived just as his son was being arrested. He saw everything, the blocked ramp, Robert still trapped in his van after 45 minutes, the damaged equipment, the crowd of angry veterans, his son screaming about lawsuits while being handcuffed. Marcus Sterling approached Robert's van. Sir, my name is Marcus Sterling. I'm the father of the young man who just blocked your ramp and damaged your van. I witnessed what he did. I heard what he said. I want to tell you how ashamed I am. You served our country. You lost your legs in Iraq, and my son treated you like you were an inconvenience. That is unforgivable. Robert, exhausted and frustrated, looked at the billionaire. Sir, you don't need to apologize for your son. Marcus's voice was firm. Yes, I do, because I raised someone who thinks his last name makes him better than a veteran who sacrificed everything. I'm paying for all repairs to your van. I'm making a donation to the VA hospital in your name, and my son will face every legal consequence for what he did. Then Marcus Sterling did something that shocked everyone present. He called his executive assistant on speaker. Catherine, I need you to do something immediately. Pull up every security camera angle of the VA hospital parking lot from the last hour. save all footage of my son's actions, send copies to Providence Police, the prosecutor's office, and my personal attorney. My son committed crimes, and I'm providing the evidence. Now, 6 days later, Brandon Sterling walks into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom wearing an expensive suit and an expression of entitled annoyance. His attorney, Marcus Whitmore, from the most expensive law firm in Boston, carries briefcases full of character references and legal arguments. But sitting in the front row in his wheelchair, wearing his Iraq veteran cap, is Robert Hayes. And sitting in the back row in a simple business suit is Marcus Sterling. He hasn't told his son he's here. Judge Caprio reviews the charges and watches the security footage. Mr. Sterling, you're charged with blocking handicap access, harassment of a disabled person, and criminal mischief. Before we proceed, I want to understand what you were thinking. Brandon interrupts, his tone dismissive. Your Honor, this is ridiculous. I parked somewhere for a few minutes. The guy could have waited. This whole thing is blown out of proportion because some people got their feelings hurt. Judge Caprio's eyes narrow. Mr. Sterling, you blocked a disabled Iraq war veteran's wheelchair ramp for 45 minutes, refused to move when asked politely, and then kicked his ramp, causing thousands in damage. That's not feelings, that's crimes. Brandon shrugs. Your Honor, I was meeting someone important. I didn't have time to look for another spot, and I barely touched that ramp. It was probably already broken. Judge Caprio removes his glasses. Mr. Sterling, let's watch the videos together. The court plays the security footage. Everyone watches Brandon park his Lamborghini diagonally across the wheelchair ramp. Watches Robert wait patiently. Watches Brandon dismiss him with "move your wheelchair van." Watches him brag about his father's billions. Watches him deliberately kick the ramp. Watches him resist arrest while screaming about lawsuits. When the videos end, the courtroom is silent. Robert Hayes sits in his wheelchair with tears of frustration and humiliation streaming down his face. Judge Caprio's voice is firm. Mr. Sterling, do you understand that Mr. Hayes lost both his legs serving our country in Iraq, that he was trying to volunteer at the VA to help other disabled veterans? Brandon's response shocks everyone. Your Honor, lots of people have disabilities. That doesn't mean they get special rights to make me move my car. I had somewhere to be. The courtroom erupts in angry whispers. Judge Caprio stands and walks around his bench. Mr. Sterling, Mr. Hayes didn't ask for special rights. He asked you to stop breaking the law. You were parked illegally blocking handicap access, but instead of showing basic human decency, you told him to move his wheelchair and bragged about your father's money. That's when Judge Caprio says something that makes Brandon's blood run cold. Speaking of your father, you mentioned him multiple times. You told everyone he's a billionaire who could buy the hospital. You told police they'd lose their jobs. You called him expecting him to make it go away. Let's hear what your father has to say. Mr. Marcus Sterling,
And the silence you hear? That's the sound of a billionaire realizing his son is about to drag their entire legacy through the mud. This is the kind of moment lawyers dread seeing on video. This single kick changes the entire case. Up until now, Brandon's actions were reckless, entitled, and illegal, but kicking the ramp? That transforms it into criminal mischief, and because it involves a disabled veteran's mobility device, prosecutors treat it extremely seriously.
I understand you're in the courtroom. Please come forward. The entire courtroom turns. Sitting in the back row, standing up with unmistakable disappointment on his face, is Marcus Sterling, the billionaire. He's been there the whole time. Brandon's face goes white. Dad, what are you doing here? Marcus Sterling walks down the center aisle. Each step carries the weight of a father who built an empire through hard work, now watching his son destroy it through entitlement. Judge Caprio addresses him. Mr. Sterling, your son seems to believe you'll use your wealth to make this disappear. Would you like to address that? Marcus takes a deep breath. Your Honor, I want to be absolutely clear. I am not here to defend my son. I am not here to use my money or influence. I am here because I witnessed what my son did that day. I heard him on the phone bragging about my billions while a disabled veteran sat trapped in his van. I watched him kick that veteran's wheelchair ramp, and I provided the police with all security footage as evidence against him. Brandon tries to interrupt. Dad, just pay them off. We can make this go away. Marcus's voice becomes ice cold. Brandon, be quiet. For once in your privileged life, stop talking and face what you've done. He turns to Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I built my company from nothing. I worked 100-hour weeks. I earned every dollar, and I gave my son everything. The best schools, the best opportunities, luxury cars, unlimited money. And I created a monster who thinks a $400,000 Lamborghini gives him the right to block a veteran's wheelchair ramp and brag about it. When Brandon called me from the VA, when I heard how he was treating that veteran, I didn't call lawyers or politicians. I drove there immediately. I arrived just as police were arresting him, and I told them to prosecute him fully because my son committed crimes, and having a billionaire father doesn't grant immunity. Judge Caprio asks the critical question. Mr. Sterling, are you asking this court for leniency? Marcus's answer is immediate. Absolutely not, Your Honor. I'm asking you to treat him exactly as you'd treat anyone else. Actually, he should face harsher consequences because he's had every advantage in life and still chose to be this cruel. Brandon is in shock. Dad, you're supposed to help me. You always fix everything. Marcus finally looks at his son directly. Brandon, I have fixed everything for you your whole life. Every speeding ticket, every club incident, every entitled tantrum. I made it go away with money. And I created someone who thinks disabled veterans are obstacles and police are servants. That ends today. Then Marcus Sterling does something that breaks everyone's heart. He walks over to Robert Hayes and kneels beside his wheelchair. Mr. Hayes, my name is Marcus Sterling. I'm the father of the young man who blocked your ramp and damaged your van. I want to tell you how profoundly ashamed I am. You served our country in Iraq. You lost both your legs defending our freedom. You volunteer your time helping other veterans. And my son treated you like garbage because he was in a hurry. That is unforgivable. Robert extends his hand. Mr. Sterling, you don't need to apologize for your son's choices. Marcus shakes his hand, both men emotional. But I do, Mr. Pays, because I gave him everything except values. I taught him about wealth, but not about worth. I showed him power, but not respect. And you paid the price for my failure as a father. Judge Caprio lets the moment breathe. Then he announces his sentence. Brandon Sterling, I find you guilty of all charges. You will serve 60 days in Providence County Correctional Facility. You will pay full restitution to Mr. Pays for his van repairs totaling $4,800. You will pay a fine of $10,000 for blocking handicap access. You will complete 400 hours of community service at VA facilities, working with disabled veterans. You will attend mandatory disability.
Damaging medical accessibility equipment is not a joke, it's a direct attack on someone's independence. And on camera? That's airtight evidence. Courtrooms get silent like this only in two situations: when something heartbreaking happens, or when a judge realizes the defendant has absolutely no remorse. Brandon isn't just defending himself, he's exposing himself. And when a judge sees a defendant dismiss a veteran's service like it means nothing, that's when sentences get heavier.
Awareness training, and your driver's license is suspended for 2 years. Total 60 days jail, $14 to $800 in fines and restitution, 400 hours at VA facilities, disability training, 2-year license suspension. Brandon's attorney objects. Your Honor, jail time for a parking violation is excessive. Judge Caprio's response is devastating. Counselor, your client didn't just park illegally. He blocked a disabled veteran for 45 minutes, bragged about his billions, kicked a wheelchair ramp causing damage, and resisted arrest. This sentence is appropriate. Finally, Brandon breaks down. Dad, please stop this. Marcus Sterling's voice is quiet but absolute. Brandon, you will serve every single day. You will complete every hour. And maybe, just maybe, spending 400 hours with the veterans you dismissed will teach you what real strength looks like. Robert Hayes speaks. Your Honor, may I say something? Judge Caprio nods. Robert looks at Brandon. Son, I don't hate you, but I hope during those 60 days and 400 hours you meet other disabled veterans. You hear our stories. Do you understand that handicap access isn't a convenience, it's survival? I lost my legs so people like you could live in freedom. I hope you learn to appreciate that. 4 months later, Brandon completed his 60 days. The first weeks were anger, but working his 400 hours at Providence VA, meeting veterans in wheelchairs, veterans with prosthetics, veterans learning to live with catastrophic injuries, something changed. He met Robert Hayes again during volunteer hours. Mr. Hayes, I blocked your ramp because I thought my time was more valuable than yours. I kicked your equipment because I was angry someone dared to inconvenience me. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Robert saw genuine change. Brandon, I accept your apology, but more importantly, I see you've learned. That's what justice should do. 1 year later, Brandon spoke at a business school. A student asked about his transformation. I grew up thinking money made me superior. Then I met veterans who sacrificed everything and asked for nothing except basic respect and access. My father's billions couldn't teach me that. 60 days in jail and 400 hours with real heroes did. Marcus Sterling's decision was controversial in business circles, but he never wavered. When asked if he regretted it, he said, I don't regret holding my son accountable. I regret it took blocking a veteran's wheelchair for him to learn that character matters more than cars. Judge Frank Caprio's sentence taught a lesson about true wealth. It proves some fathers love their children enough to let them face necessary consequences. Subscribe for more stories where privilege meets accountability. Like if you believe